Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to episode 6, the last and final episode. Today on the show, we have Haroon, Saboori. Good morning, Haroon. How are you today?
Good. Thank you for having me, Kava. How are you?
Our pleasure. I'm well, thank you. So today we're going to be talking about transitioning, so going from one job to another. And I believe you have had a few experiences on going from one job to another.
Yes, sir, I have. I have started off pretty young at about 15, 16. My first job, the one where I first worked tax as well, would be when I worked at a warehouse. Opportunity has risen where I was invited by one of my teacher's friends to work at the factory, at the warehouse, where they have disabled people. Afford, it's called. That's the name of the whole company. They are supported by NDIS, the biggest disability company. And then I've worked there for about 2 years, but they're not 2 full years, if you know what I mean. I was hired as a Christmas casual, and I was kind of called in and out during the year, but that's where it kind of stopped for my first job. Neither did I quit, neither did they fire me. So it was kind of like end of contract, and that's about all. That's for my first job, yeah.
And could you tell us about a better experience where you quit or you were fired?
I've never been fired, to be honest. Not gonna lie to you. I have quit many jobs. So the first job was so I worked at a car wash, and as I was working in the car wash, I kind of wanted to quit the moment I started. It wasn't like something I wanted to do for long term, and I kind of was looking for jobs while I was working there. It was cash in hand as well, so no tax, no nothing. I was paid the very, very minimal, like $10 an hour. And I was working for about from 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. to about 4 or 5 p.m. So it was long hours every single day for very minimal pay, which didn't work out, and it was a really hard job. So it was a very, very funny experience. There was a kebab shop behind the car wash. Went on to buy food after work from the car wash, and the boss saw me and saw how young I was, and he kind of told me, "Why don't you come work with us? We'll pay you better, and we'll treat you better, give you better hours, and you're too young to work at a car wash." So I kind of told my car wash boss, did a 3-day free trial at the kebab shop, proved that I'm worthy of the position.
You're right.
And I have gotten the job at the kebab shop, and that was my third job.
That's good. And quitting from the car wash, was it easy? Was it hard? How did you go about quitting?
Because the car wash already had a lot of workers, losing me wasn't a big issue, and they kind of felt like they're gonna lose me, and it was just temporary because it was my uncle's car wash, and he knew that I just needed it until I found a better job.
Yeah.
So they had a lot of people on standby, so it wasn't a big deal. And because I'm still in school, they already knew once school started, I'm no good use, except for weekends on holiday. So technically, it wasn't that much of a hassle, and the guy was understanding.
Yeah, that's good. And have you ever had a bad experience quitting where people were like, how you going with the whole situation of you leaving that workplace?
I mean, I've never had a bad experience. I've kind of felt bad, however, when I quit the kebab shop. I kind of left them when they needed workers, when they were kind of like desperate for workers, and we were still doing great, as in money and customers and stuff. We still had our loyal customers and stuff. But once that was before COVID, by the way. That was like last year, and I worked for the kebab shop for about 6 months.
Yeah, right.
I left them because I was still applying for jobs during me working in a kebab shop as well, because for me, I always want to better myself and work at a better place, with better pay, or because as you get older, you want to get paid more because you have more responsibilities and stuff like that. Especially when I started driving, petrol and other car stuff, radio and so on. You need to get paid respectable amount for you to actually keep up with everything, including saving up for future.
Yeah.
So I was offered a job at Target. With Target, when I did, the moment I kind of went for my interview, I let the kebab shop know that I'm leaving in about 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And
how did he feel about that?
they kind of felt a bit upset because I was one of their best workers.
Yeah.
And like when I say best workers, it was me and my cousin holding the shop down.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for me and my cousin, I think the shop would have been closed, because we would at times, like, the boss will go somewhere and me and my cousin would run the whole place, run the whole restaurant. So they depended on us a lot.
Yeah.
And whoever they kind of hired, it was really kind of bad experience. They weren't, they're lazy, or they wouldn't listen, or they do their own thing. It's just too much. Obviously I felt really bad.
Yeah.
So instead of 2 weeks, I told them 2 weeks, and I could leave after 2 weeks whenever I like. But I kind of felt bad because I really wanted them to find a worker so they can replace me, and I don't leave them empty-handed. I did kind of tell so I worked 2 jobs at the same time. Yeah. And that's when I kind of like really was a bit careless about my health and well-being. And stressed myself out because I had school, I had TAFE, I had kebab shop, and I had Target. Yeah. It was a bit too much for me to handle, and I was basically mentally affected by that. Overworking myself all the time, it was too much for my mental health to cope.
You like kept digging the hole deeper.
No, I reckon it was just because I was so driven to prove that I'm the best at what I do. Yeah. Where I forgot myself. And I think that's what younger people do. They tend to forget about themselves. Yeah. And I reckon that's so wrong, because I get it working. I get it.
It's a big responsibility.
You know, it's a big responsibility. I highly recommend everyone working and stuff. Like, it's the best experience you can have. But at the same time, if you overwork yourself, you might not know it, but long term in the future, you'll feel it, and it'll come crashing down. And I don't think it was a pleasant experience. I was a bit, not gonna lie to you, my mental health wasn't the best. I might have not shown it, but like I was there every night, asking myself, why am I doing this to myself? And at times, like, that was like kind of where depression a bit kicked in. Yeah. And it wasn't a pleasant experience. As I said, like, I reckon younger people should care about their mental health, because if you are work driven, and you want to work in commitment and all that stuff, you need to take care of yourself. And the moment you take care of yourself, you can work longer and you can work better. Because there's no way, if you stress yourself out, you're gonna showcase your best ability.
And with your current job right now, how do you think you're going to go with that? Do you think planning on quitting anytime soon?
No.
Because right now, Target's not looking so good.
I mean, obviously, we had our tough times and we kind of had our ups and downs. I reckon with the way we're going, our Target store won't shut down. However, I reckon this is not where I want to invest my career in. Yeah. Saying that, I was offered great positions. Let's say the first 1 month working there, 2 months. Yeah, 2 months. First 2 months, I was offered a manager's position, like manager's like training position at Target Liverpool. Yeah, for me that was like that motivated me. Yeah. You know, if someone sees that you're manager quality, you know you're doing a great job, and I reckon I'll stay for a bit longer until I start my career for real estate. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my actual career. That's where I want to invest myself in. So I reckon I'll stay where I'm happy at right now because I love it where I am, and I love the people around me.
Yeah.
So I reckon I'll stay until an opportunity in real estate arises. You know.
Okay. So what's your advice for people who are looking at quitting their job or people who have been fired? Like, how do they go about questioning that?
I reckon just be respectful, respectful of the company's position. After all, they did hire you over everyone else. They did give you the opportunity that other people could, only dream of, and that need maybe more than you do.
Yeah.
So I reckon just be respectful. In Australia, I know legally you have to give a 2-week notice before you leave. So I reckon give them 2 weeks. If you can give them longer than 2 weeks, I reckon that's amazing. Give them the longest notice you can give.
Yeah.
And no problems should happen. And you should explain your side of the story. Be very honest and truthful.
Yeah.
Because after all, if your future opportunity doesn't work out, you can always come back to this company because they still love you and want you. I reckon that was for me. That was my experience. So when I left the kebab shop, even when I left for Target, they did, because I was so respectful of the situation they were in. They offered me, they paid me extra just to come back. They offered me a pay rise to come back, and that's about all.
Right. Thank you, Haroon, for coming on the show today. That was a lovely episode of Haroon. My segment coming up right after the break. Thank you, Haroon, for that wonderful interview about transitioning from one job to another, and a bit extra for that. Thank you. So right now we're going to do my segment on transitioning from one job to another. Like Haroon said, when moving from one job to another, make sure you give them time to prepare for that loss that they will have when you leave the company or when you leave that workplace. So give them a bit of notice for when you're moving from one job to another. And make sure you have a valid reason on why you're leaving, or give them a reason, because it could help them to understand what they need to work on when doing that job. Personally, when transitioning from one job to another, I would make sure that I have something else to go to, or the reason why I'm leaving that workplace, I would make sure that I would have that thing. So if I'm leaving because I can't keep working anymore because it's getting too much, then make sure that when I'm leaving that workplace, I've got something to fill in for that time, not just leaving into doing nothing. Same when you're leaving school, make sure you got that work opportunity and keep looking. Like everyone said, when you're hired, doesn't mean you're fully with them, you're going to stay with them forever, because you never know what's going to happen. The world's changing rapidly, and especially this year, 2020, out of all, you never know what's around the corner. So make sure you're always out and on lookout, so you know what opportunities are out there next, in case something does happen with the current workforce you're in, or something happens with the current work that you have right now, so you have that backup plan to go off. Just because you're with that company doesn't mean you fully have to be with that company all the time. You are allowed to leave if you don't feel you fit in, or if it's right for you. So always be out on the lookout. When transitioning from one job to another, it's always good to have respectable language when you're talking to your boss, your manager of that workplace. Make sure you have that respect, because like Haroon said, they did take you in and they did pick you out of the odd amount of people that they had receiving for that position. So respect is always key. No matter if they're firing you or if you're quitting, respect is always a good thing. And being fired isn't always a bad thing. It's also a good experience in learning what you need to improve on as a worker. If they're firing you for some reason, or if they're firing you because they can't keep staff, like this year with COVID-19, a lot of Australians were just left jobless because people couldn't keep paying their staff members, so they had to cut down on staff. Especially big businesses like Qantas had to cut numbers just rapidly, leaving people jobless pretty much. So you always got to be on the lookout with a second option. Even if you think that this job that you have right now is really secure and you're really enjoying it, just always have that second option and always be on the lookout for the better opportunities, because at the end of the day, you got to be working to be self-improving. You can't just be stuck with that one thing. good things never last forever. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming to this episode. Unfortunately, this is the last episode to the KTO series, Kava Talks Opportunities. Who knows? We might start a new series about work or another series about whatever we feel necessary, whatever you guys are looking out for. Who knows? Someone else might take on the show. We don't know. So, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. If you have been listening, thank you for coming and listening to my 6 episodes of me and my cringy voice. It's really been amazing having you guys listen to my show, and it's been amazing running this whole program, and really thankful for the teachers and the people who allowed me to interview them, and for the people who have helped me, especially thanks to Ibrahim, the producer of the show. So thank you guys very much. You do deserve a round of applause. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. For attending the show. So your support is really noted, and hopefully this podcast was really educating for you, and hoping you got a lot out of this podcast. Unfortunately, this is the last episode, but thank you for listening, and thank you for being there for us. Have a lovely day and have a lovely lifetime. Who knows? We might be back. We don't know. Just ride the lifeboat. Thank you, and God bless you all.